And welcome back to another instalment with our old clown, enslaved by no brain. He has got it in for the A380, and let's listen and look at his lies and misinformation.
What you talking about, Willis?
Wow, you've quoted some impressive numbers there. Shall we just check them, just in case? We have seen before you just pull numbers out of your arse, or make them up even. Let's double check, shall we? Oh, you claim 218 metric tons in the wing, eh? Let's check with the Airbus figures, shall we? Let's take a look. Well, the A380 has a total fuel capacity of 254,760 kilograms. Which is almost 255 tons. And out of that fuel quantity, Airbus put 18,600 kilograms of that in a trim tank in the tail. So to know how much we got in the wings, we're going to have to take that away from the grand total, which will give us 236,160 kilograms. That's in both wings total. To know what's in each wing, we're going to have to divide that by 2, which gives us 118,080 kilos in this wing and this wing. No, nothing like your 218 tons full stop. Where you drag your numbers from, God only knows. It's, as suspected, it's complete that you just pull the numbers out of your rectum. Well, 24 tons for 4 engines seems to be roundabout correct. Let's just check. The Trent 900 weighs in at just over 6 tons piece. There's 4 of them. Times that by 4, we almost get 25 tons. So you're 1 ton under. We'll let you off on that one. So you've stated manufactured finished wing. That's the wing without the pylons and the flying controls. That is the manufactured wing. And let's have a check on the weight. And the transportation weight is, look, 33 tons per wing, not 66. A bit OTT, aren't you? Well, let's correct your 308 metric ton statement for starters. It's actually 327.14 metric tons of wing. That's including the fuel content and the engines. It's not inside the wing. The wing is not contained in another wing, is it? It is a structural object now. And the entire object is 327.14 metric tons. So now you roll out the large, scary, big number and go to a completely different measuring system. You've been talking in the metric system. Now we're suddenly back into the imperial system. And that looks like a strange weight anyway. Let's have a check. So £617,000. What does that equate to in kilograms or tons? Well, that's 279,866.492 kilograms, or just about 280 tons. So, what does this number actually relate to? It just clearly sees a number that you've pulled out of your arse. It's not even the total fuel capacity or the maximum takeoff weight of the aeroplane. So, clearly a random number you've picked out of your rectum. Well, if you had actually bothered to do any form of research or reading into the principles of flight and aerodynamics, you wouldn't be asking such a ridiculously stupid question. Of course, those wings are capable of carrying the weight. And let's get the correct figures, shall we? We know your 308 metric ton is a made-up number. And more to the point, those wings are actually lifting a heavy fuselage into the air. And you don't seem to be concerned that that huge fuselage is sitting in the middle of the wings, and it's not forcing the wings to bend in the middle, are they? Let's have a look at the numbers again, shall we? So we know for a fact, we worked out earlier, is that the wing as an assembly with the fuel inside the wing comes to a total of 327.14 metric tons of material holding that aircraft up. We know the aircraft's maximum takeoff weight is 575 tons. So we take this wing weight away from the maximum takeoff weight, and we have a fuselage of 247.86 tons. That's right, we have 247.86 tons of fuselage containing passengers, cargo, food, catering, crew, bags are sitting in the middle of that wing assembly. You seem to have no problem with that. But Airbus have designed these wings to be able to carry up to a maximum takeoff weight of in excess of 650 tons. So this is nothing to the aircraft's wings. Shame you can't do any research. You just go, duh, I don't understand, I'll make the bullshit up. And now Enslaved by No Brain gets an input from his clown friend and dumber assistant, Jason Maggard. Like Enslaved by No Brain, Jason just loves to show the world his ignorance and his stupidity. He loves to spread lies and misinformation about reality.
Hey, we just landed here in Phoenix. A bunch of planes landing, taking off. And I am looking for a fuel truck anywhere.
I can see one just there.
But that said, I also don't even know where they put the fuel on the planes.
Oh, there you are, a refuel right under your own nose, and you can't even see it. Oh well.
Oh, got the super thin wings.
Well, sorry to disappoint you. A320 wings are far from super thin, as these pictures demonstrate. Once again, you're just trying to create your fantasy by selecting a particular viewpoint of the wing, which is at its thinnest at the trailing edge. But what is it you fail to understand is you're looking at, from that point of view, at the back end of the flaps and the flying controls. Approximately 12 to 15 inches forward of them is the rear wing spar, which is going to be at least 6 inches deep towards the wingtip.
those wings. Still haven't seen a fuel truck. Check out our wing.
Yes, that is right. Modern jet engines don't burn as much fuel. And as you're making this claim that aircraft don't use fuel, this shoots you down instantly, doesn't it? It proves we use fuel, but not as much as the old aeroplanes did in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. And here's your proof. We got the A320 Classic on the left and the A320 new engine on the right. No physical differences in dimensions of the aircraft, but the older aircraft, which is the Classic, had a maximum range of only 6,200 kilometers, and that was improved with the addition of an aerodynamic modification of sharklets on the wingtips, as opposed to the new engine aircraft that have increased their range by 100 kilometers to 6,300 kilometers, with actually a reduction in the maximum fuel quantity. Therefore, it can fly exactly the same payload 100 kilometers further with less fuel.
Okay, so this guy did start fueling this little tiny truck here and this little tiny hose. That's not even a normal size hose that comes from a tanker truck at a gas station. I'm going to time how long he puts fuel in the wing.
So I checked both your new video and the source video to this video you've used, and on neither videos have you included the so-called date stamps and time stamps, trying to mislead, I believe, and trying to massage the reality to fit your lies and fantasy beliefs, aren't you? And you're going to say you're going to time how long this man puts the fuel on. He's already started putting the fuel on before you've even talked about timing him. So whatever figure you're going to come up with is going to be bollocks, isn't it? You're just going to be using that to cherry pick for your chosen agenda of spreading lies and bullshit.
Well, holy crap, if I would have known that, I would have just kept filming. It was less than 2 minutes that he put fuel in that plane. So the fuel guy spent more time setting.
There you are, lying, deliberately lying. And there is the lie. You say you were in the concourse whilst waiting for your flight. And this is the only time you saw the fuel hose connected to a plane. Well, you are not in the concourse. And I shall show you. Because you are actually sat in a window seat behind the wing of another A320. Unless you're actually in a concourse with the first concourse with wings. And you're dumb enough to not realise that a few seconds ago you showed this in your video. Clearly you're sat in a window seat on an aeroplane, not the concourse.
Putting up a ladder, filling out paperwork, and taking down the ladder, putting back the hose and everything. Then he did actually pumping fuel in the wing. Look at that little thing. I'm wondering if it's propane or something.
You're a sad, laughable figure, aren't you, Percy?
Well, firstly, you don't know what the arrival fuel or the onboard fuel quantity was already. And, well, you know you've proven that you lie and make up crap already in this video. So your 2-minute claim is not trustworthy. And it shouldn't take more than about 20 minutes to fill a 320 from completely empty to completely full anyway. I will show you. Firstly, we'll check the aircraft registration and confirm what aircraft type it is. And here's the registration. Now we Google it and up and comes, and there we have it. It's an Airbus A320. The A320 and the A321 share a common wing. The only difference between the two wings is the tank layout inside the wing and the subsequent fuel pump quantities and the tank plumbing. Now looking at the 321 service information, we can acquire all the information we need to know on how long it takes to fuel the aeroplane. As you can see at the bottom of the page, it's fueled through a standard size hose of 2.5 inch diameter hose, which those hoses were in the video, and its maximum refuel pressure will not exceed 50 psi, and the flow rate is 1,250 litres per minute. And as we can see, the maximum fuel capacity of the 320 is only 27,200 litres. And if we now divide that fuel quantity by the flow rate, we shall get how long it takes to fill up the aeroplane from completely empty to completely full. And it should take no longer than 21.76 minutes to fill it from completely empty to completely full. This will never happen, as all airliners are required to arrive with a minimum fuel quantity on board. The only time you would actually have to fill from completely empty to completely full is on the first flight after it rolls off the production line. And the duration of the refuel obviously will depend on the size of the aeroplane and how much fuel there was on board to begin with.
Flaps. This is the underneath of one of the wings.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Seriously, are you using a video from Jones Backward Jones to make a point here? Here's a man that is crazy. He claims terror attacks and like 9/11 and disasters like the Concorde crash and the Grenfell Tower fire were all staged, and the survivors, if any, were paid actors and actresses by the great powers that be to fool us into some bollocks. I don't know. He claims wind turbines are driven by jet engines. He claims nuclear powered submarines are driven by jet engines. He thinks the moon is an X-ray of the Earth. And jet engines are all powered by air and Fibonacci spirals, somehow magic, woo-woo craziness. And of course, like all conspiracy tards, he's got something against people who've done well for themselves and the Freemasons. I don't know why, but he has. He is just a crazy loon. And Jones Backward Jones is so dumb, he doesn't even realise how his own video debunks his own idea of the flaps retract all the way into the wing. And this video I debunked in a previous video of mine.
Been inside here. I mean, look at this.
Once again, we're back with Mr. Jones, the regular reality denier. Let's see what he's on about this time.
Right, this one is on flaps. This is the underneath of one of the wings. Just look at the amount of hydraulics going on here, and what we're trying to look for is fuel tanks.
Never learn. Mira, he may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but I think his courage is commendable. He may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but I think his courage is commendable.
Yes, the fuel tank's right in front of you, Mr. Jones. Let me explain. Here, we have the landing gear support beam, which is connected between the rear spar of the wing and the fuselage here. Here we have the landing gear. And here we can see the rear spar. And this goes all the way out to the wingtip. And forward of the rear spar here And this area here and here is the fuel tank. See, Mr. Jones? And this rubbish idea that the flaps go into the wing, as you can see, here is a solid beam. So this can only go as far as here. It cannot go any further here unless it can magically go through the undercarriage. So there you have it. This area here, and the forward spar is about there. Simples, Mr. Jones, if you actually bothered to look at diagrams and investigate and research. But no, you're too chicken scared to come and see for yourself.
Look at this, look. Look at the thickness as well. Yeah? It is an engineering marvel. I'll turn the sound up if you want. It's quite annoying. Look, they are. All this is going on. All the electronics, hydraulics. There's more piping as well going from to the actual gas turbine engines. There's more of the piping inside here. I mean, look at this. Look at it. Look at the actual size of it.
Jones, backward Jones, was too dumb to see it, and you are obviously even dumber that you couldn't see his own debunk.
What did you say?
Someone's village is missing their idiot.
Wow, you are just a hilarious fool. You've produced nothing. You've just said some words and you have produced nothing in evidence. Like all truthers, you have got nothing. All you have successfully done is proved that you have got absolutely zero knowledge of principles of flight and basic aeronautical engineering. I mean, and you have done zero research into the subject, and all you've just spewed out is some cherry-picked images and video with no physical proof whatsoever. You're just a hilarious clown. You make these ridiculous claims about the A380. I mean, have you done your own research? Have you worked out the thrust to weight ratio of the 380? Or the aerodynamic centre of pressure on the wing of the 380? Have you even worked out the coefficient of lift by taking a model of the A380 down to a wind tunnel and testing and measuring the coefficient of lift at various angle of attacks and speeds? Same with the drag coefficient. And have you calculated the actual amount of lift the wing produces in order to get the aircraft into the air? Have you researched into the materials that are used in the construction of the aircraft? And have you looked into the particular materials' structural strength and their compositions? I mean, are you aware of the various aerodynamic forces that are applied to the wings and the fuselage during its life? Have you carried out tests of wing bending motions? I mean, you clearly don't even realise that one of the major stresses on a wing is the bending force, and the fuel is there secondarily to alleviate that bending force. Like all truthers, you've just picked on an agenda that you want to push lies and misinformation about. You have got no idea of basic science. You obviously failed to pay attention when you had the chance in school, and you can't even be bothered to go and read a book on the or go and Google the subjects. All you do is sit down at a computer, go, duh, I don't know what it actually does, but I'll make the bullshit up. And proceed to cherry pick from the echo chambers of stupidity on YouTube. Thankfully, Airbus didn't do that. They did some tests. See, Airbus realised that it was not an easy, simple task to put a double-decker aircraft into the skies. Because if it was that easy, Boeing would have extended the upper deck on the 747 decades ago. But there was a lot of problems to overcome, and throughout just over a decade, Airbus researched the subject, carried out various air tests in wind tunnels, and eventually settled on the design of the 380. There was a lot of compromises that had to be made. I mean, the aircraft was designed to fit on current aircraft parking stands, which restricted the wingspan and the complications to that. They carried out all the mathematical tests and to produce an aircraft and a wing that was capable of taking up to over 650 tons in weight, in preparation for any future extensions to the aircraft. Sadly, we're not going to ever see that, as nature has decreed, and the aircraft will soon become extinct because it's too costly to operate compared to twin jet aircraft. Sadly, the aircraft has arrived on the market about 10 years too late to really to indulge in the success it really does deserve. Well, that wraps up the dumb world of Enslaved by No Brain. Once again, like all truthers that on this conspiracy world they live in, they just quote nonsense without actually delivering a shred of evidence or proof. I work on aircraft. I'm an aircraft maintenance engineer. I've been covered in fuel. I know that fuel goes into the wings. Jet engines burn fuel. These idiots say it doesn't happen. And they can't. And when you ask them to come and tell us, show us and explain how a fuelless internal combustion engine can possibly work, they fail to even attempt at answering. They don't even have the intellectual ability to even attempt to explain how a fuelless internal combustion engine could possibly work. And they keep saying that this technology is hidden in plain sight. They can't even tell me or the world what aircraft these fuelless engines are fitted on. Because every aircraft I've worked on, from 111s to 777s and DC-10s and 787s, they all burn fuel. And idiots like Enslaved by No Brain and his dumb assistant, Jason Maggard, and the UK's own dumb idiot, Jones Backward Jones, they just blurt out their fantasy, and they got no idea how to explain it, and they refuse to. They're just a lying bunch of idiots. Well, thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it. See you next time.